Can we switch to the wide? Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, fuck. Okay. Hi, welcome to POV You're My Therapist, the podcast where I vent, you listen, and you do not get paid. I am your host, Divine Philemon, and today I have the illustrious, the extraterrestrial, the funny, the amazing CiiCIi from the That Bitch Is Positive podcast. Say hi, CiiCIi.
Hello. I'm honored to be here.
I'm honored to have you. So I met CiiCIi in March, because we were on a panel together at Podcast Movement in Las Vegas. And I swear, and we all kept saying it, the girl who put us on the panel together, I feel like she energetically matched us so well. Like, your podcast name really is you. You are a very, very positive person. A little crazy, but very positive.
Well, everyone talks about be delusional. I don't believe in that. What I believe in is there's a quantum field and there's unlimited potentials for your life to align with. You don't have to be delusional. Just have faith in a different timeline. That's it, period.
Sometimes, like, even myself, because, like, I'm so based in reality and I'm so grounded in, like, what I see is real. And, like, that can be so detrimental to me sometimes because if what I'm looking at in front of me does not align with the vision of my life, it's so easy for me to spiral and just, like, fall into a fun little depressy episode. But your message is so against that because it's like CiiCIi is like, I'm looking at the worst thing ever and I know right behind it is a unicorn and rainbows and I'm so excited to see that version of stuff. How do you do that? How do you keep that mindset?
Well, because I know that this physical 3D circumstance is a creation based on my own electromagnetic field, my own energy. So if what I have created thus far is something I don't like, I take full responsibility and I say, well, if I got myself here, I can get myself out. If I created this, I can uncreate this. I can create something different. So it's not that I don't feel pain or I don't have hardship or I don't go through experiences where I want to rip my hair out of my head. I acknowledge those for what they are, but then I remember, wait a second, I'm a conscious creator. I have the power to shift this circumstance into something else. It's almost, instead of being problem oriented and focusing on the 3D circumstance, what I see in front of my life right now, I'm going to be solution oriented. What am I going to do to shift this? And so many people think I have to take an actionable change, but most of the time it's I need to do a 10-minute meditation before I curse someone out, or I need to go for a walk. I need to breathe. I need to have a second where I reset and recharge. I think we have forgotten our power. And so when we're in a circumstance that feels terrible, it's so easy to blame someone else or forget that we do have the power to shift that circumstance. And that's what it is for me. Everything feels so moldable and interchangeable and so temporary. So when things are good, I appreciate it. I'm happy for it. And when things are not so good, I remind myself, all right, well, I can shift this. That's how I see it. I see it very much seasons of change, very much water, very much
like you're not fighting the waves at all.
No, like, why fight when you can flow with it? Why?
Because it's fucking scary.
I think when we're born, we all have this understanding, but then we get so programmed to believe in the 3D world and believe all of the things that are just programmed into us. I think what happened was it got so bad for me. It was so bad. I felt anxious about everything. I was on anxiety medication. I had to be put on sleeping pills. I was a mess. It was the darkest, deepest night of the soul. You can call it whatever you want. But it got so bad and I needed it to get so bad so I could fight to get out of it almost.
Yeah.
And that really taught me that even the lowest of lows, it's just another perspective. It's just another way of seeing the world. And if you're at rock bottom, the good thing is you can only go up from it. But that was actually the moment that I figured out, wait a second, if I got myself here, I can get out of this. Technically, I can shift around things to benefit me a little bit more, to work in my favor a little bit more. And I think that I mean, when do we make change? It's when we can't take it anymore.
Yeah.
When the pain outweighs the temporary pleasure or the okayness of the situation, that's when we make a change.
Yeah.
And so I think that the pain of me trying to live in a programmed way pushed me out of it, out of the matrix.
Yeah.
And I wanted to address what you said, the shoe dropping, always wondering when that shoe is going to drop. I had the same thing, and it was with everything, but I actually traced it back to my connection with my mom. And I think this is so true for all of us, but I had such an anxious attachment with her because in my perspective as a child, she was emotionally there and then not, and then there and then not. I'm one of 4 kids. It was very chaotic. And I was always worried that I wasn't going to get my needs met, that she was going to just leave and it was permanent and she wasn't going to come back. Even if our mom is just late for pickup at school, we can then create a meeting.
That's like, that's an anxiety riddled time in your life as a child.
So much anxiety.
See you. Yeah.
And, I see you. Just watch Avatar. They say I see you. But that, to me, created that when is the other shoe going to drop in everything.
Yeah.
And if you can go back and have a conscious dialogue with that inner child and literally give yourself some peace by just saying, I'm here, we're safe, we're going to be okay. To me, that's changed a lot of that anxiety of looking over my shoulder.
Yeah. You telling me that just now literally just took me back to when I was a child. I think I was in like 6th, 7th grade. I went to this private school and I was the only Black child of 400 kids.
Dang.
I know. Baby, it was Massachusetts. It was parochial school. We had nuns and everything. Like it was really a time. But my mom was like the only single mom there. So she was working constantly. She, just like you, like at that time, my cousins included, it was 4 kids. So she was spread pretty thin. And standing in the pickup line, wondering where the hell is my mom, watching like children, hop in cars and like the numbers dwindling and constantly wondering like, are you going to show up for me? Like at school plays, stuff like that. That just took me so
I know. I need to touch you because I have felt that same exact experience. The same exact
so
experience.
Anxiety riddled and like you have like that prickling like on your back and like that just made me realize that that's the first time that like I ever felt anxious. That's crazy.
And that's what it is. You're wondering, when is the other shoe gonna drop? Is she gonna come? Is she not? And we think that pain and that heartache and those wounds go away. How could that makes no sense. How could they go away? They don't go away unless we nurture them to heal. So that's why we're all walking around. I see every adult as just walking children unless you're consciously healing. Yeah. Because you have all your inner child wounds and they're out there. They're affecting how you interact with the world. They're affecting you. They're affecting everything. And when people are having these flip outs during conversations, no one can keep their shit together. Well, they're all walking around with wounds. What do we expect? Why would the world even be semi-okay when no one's actually doing the work that they need to be doing? Not that no one's doing it, but you know what I mean.
I think the one thing, though, that I think about is how freeing it is to be at rock bottom. Because my rock bottom moment was also life-changing. Because, like, that was the moment when I was like, okay, I really want to die at this moment. And we don't have to go into it, but I realized like I'm so deep in like where I am right now and like where I feel like I don't trust myself. I don't trust anybody around me. I don't trust my emotions. There is such a lack of faith in anything. And I don't know where that switch happened, but all of a sudden, like, it felt so free that I wasn't necessarily tethered to anything. And it almost felt like starting over from like a completely white like canvas and building back who I wanted to be and where I wanted to take my life and like what were my belief systems and actively and very particularly choosing my belief systems and not necessarily relying on like the moments of like hurt that had informed me throughout my whole life.
That's ego death. That's what it sounds like. And honestly, it is so freeing. I remember when I went through a breakup and Well, I was codependent, anxious attachment,
Slay.
obsessed.
Slay.
But
Slay. We love an obsessed girly.
but when I went through that breakup, I realized, oh my God, the only identity I have is that of a girlfriend. I literally had nothing else. I was still in college, so I didn't know what I was doing after college. I had passions, but they were just all over the place, so I had no plans of anything. And once I wasn't a girlfriend anymore, that allowed for my ego death, and it was so freeing because it was like, okay, now that I'm not that, I actually can choose to be anything. There's so many different roles and identities I can choose. I can literally do whatever I want now.
Yeah.
And it is so freeing to just, it's practicing detachment from all things.
Yeah.
And just instead calling your power back and reaffirming who it is you actually are rather than who you've been told.
Yeah, and like who you've learned to be to survive your circumstance. You brought up two things, and I'm like, yummy. She's reading my mind. But isn't it crazy how the more you work on yourself, you do become a mirror? And I think like the metaphor of the year, the day, the month is water, because going with the flow of life, not fighting against the waves, but also water is the first mirror. And we're talking about narcissism. Let's take it back to Greek mythology. We have, what's his name? Narcissus?
I guess so.
Sorry. She's like, I didn't read the book. But there's Narcissus who, narcissism comes from this Greek tale of this guy who was so hot. And he found a pond and it had the perfect amount of reflection.
Right. Yeah.
And he just kept looking at himself like, I'm so yummy. And he was so in love with himself, he fell into the pond.
Yeah, I can't get this thought out of my head for some reason, but just because we're talking about narcissism, if we are to think about God, did God hate himself? No. You would assume that God loved himself, that he saw the goodness in him, his own self. Don't you think God wants us to love ourselves? Don't you think he wants us to appreciate ourselves? And I'm saying God, but I mean this universal loving energy that surrounds all of us and it is within all of us. Wouldn't God want us to respect, love, and protect ourselves? Would he want us to be martyrs? I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think so either. In my Christian faith and all that, like you read the stories and you understand what's happened you try to. There's a lot going on in the books. You can keep up if you try, I guess. But you read the story and like the whole thing is like, he sent his only son to save whatever.
Yeah.
And it's like, so why do you want me to suffer? Like, and by you, I mean like people.
Yeah.
And a lot of the times like that martyrness, like people feel the need to give so much of themselves. And it's like, you can give a lot without losing who you are.
Yeah.
Like you can be charitable, you can be a good Samaritan, you can be loving. But it takes like a very wise person to love with detachment, to care, but still practice detachment. Like just because you hold on to somebody or like you care for somebody, that doesn't mean that you're going to sacrifice who you are for them. I don't know if I'm making sense.
No, you are. And I think that those wise people, the reason they're able to give so much is because they don't just give to others, they give to themselves too. And when you have that balance, you're able to give to other people and you're able to have that service for the other. But when it's imbalanced and you're only giving to others, it's most likely out of your own fears because you need validation or because you're a people pleaser. I mean, there's this whole notion that a lot of people are the nice guy or the nice girl, not because they're actually kind, but because they're trying to control circumstance. And they know if I'm nice, I'll get a good reaction and therefore the circumstance will be peaceful. I mean, this is born out of trauma. It's not to blame anyone or say anyone's bad, but that's just how it goes. True kindness is using your own heart center and giving because you want to give, regardless of how other people may react.
It's instinctual.
Yeah.
It is
different.
It just is what it is.
Yeah.
Like I remember one time I was in New York here, my favorite place on earth. Woo! And I remember like I gave this guy, like this homeless guy, he came up to me and he was like, and I was walking with my friend and he came up to me and he was like, you're so pretty. And I was like, thanks. I was like, are you hungry? And he was like, yeah. So I gave him like $20 and she was mad at me for it.
Who?
And my friend that I was with. And she was like, why would you give him money? And I was like, because I have it. And she was like, he's probably going to like go use it to drink. I was like, you use all your money to buy weed, sister. I was like, we're literally headed to the plug's house right now. What do you mean? And she was like, yeah, well, and I'm like, it doesn't matter to me. I'm like, I've given people money who like they scammed me. Like, really, you're begging in the parking lot, and then 2 seconds later I see you, like, you have your backpack, you're getting in your car, you're going home
away.
And I'm like, and to me, I'm like, if you felt that much desperation to scam somebody, that has nothing to do with me, because I gave you what I had because I wanted to, and out of whatever your intentions are. But like, whether you are lying to me, whether you really need it, whether you don't, whether you're just greedy, it ain't got shit to do with me. Because at the end of the day, like, you're the one who's going to get that karma back. And hopefully, because my intentions were pure, I get good karma.
There's a big difference between intention versus expectation. And I say this all the time in my videos. When you go out, kind of changing subjects, but when you go out and you intend just to have a good night with your girls, to have fun, to enjoy yourself, to live your best life, that's when you're the most magnetic. That's when people come up to you. Men are going to come up to you. Even girls will come up to you. People are going to offer to buy you a drink, because your intention is just to enjoy yourself. You're focused on yourself. But when you expect someone better buy me a drink, someone better come up to me, and then they don't, you're creating attachments also to strangers who you have no idea who they
you're
are.
Putting your worth in their hands.
That's the worst thing you can do. You for you to expect whatever this homeless man is going to do with your money. There's no point. All you can do is intend that it's going to have a positive outcome. That's all we can do is intend. And when we can intend and have our focus on ourselves, that's when we get the best results.
Yeah. So one thing that you mentioned earlier, because I was listening to your podcast on the way over here, it's called That Bitch Is Positive, by the way. Thank you. When you said that you would not be who you are today without all of the bad parts of yourself.
Yeah.
And all of the worst parts of yourself. Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah. I think that so many of us want to just focus on our light aspects or the parts of ourselves that we really like. Like, oh, I like that I'm bubbly and a hard worker. That's great and all. And those are my light aspects, and those are lovely. But if it wasn't for my darkness, which was my fears, my wounds, my codependency, my anxious attachment, binging disorder, if it wasn't for those things, I would have never learned all the things that I've learned about myself and the world and energy. For example, just to think about anxious attachment, that dark part of myself led me to understand attachment theory, my connection with my mom, the connection I had with every single intimate partner I've ever had, why I would become so obsessed with them, why I would romanticize them, why if they left me, my whole entire world left with them. If it wasn't for these dark parts of myself, that would not have allowed me to fully understand who I am. Binging, every time I would binge, I would shut myself off. I would call it a blackout. And it took my boyfriend jokingly saying, oh, did you just black out? And I was like, wait, I black out? I didn't even consciously understand that I would say that. It took me understanding that I literally black myself out and shove food down my mouth because I can't stand the fact that sometimes I feel lonely. And that feeling to me is so fucking painful that I just want to run from it. It's my spirit trying to leave my body. And if it wasn't for these darker parts of myself, this pain, I say the pain is the portal because it has led me to so much inner wisdom, knowledge, information that my light would never teach me. I love my darkness. I think my darkness is fucking awesome. Like, I think it's cool. I think it's amazing that it has shown me so many aspects of myself and also has allowed me to have compassion for other people. It's why I can teach. It's why I'm a coach. It's why I can connect because of my darkness, not just my light. And if you feel like you're always focused on the negative things happening, to me, that's almost a habit problem where you have, because you've practiced focusing on the negative, you get good at it. Anything you practice, you're going to get good at. If I practice piano, I'm going to be great at it. If I practice thinking negatively, I'll be great at it. If I practice thinking positively, I'll be great at it. So what I would really recommend for someone like that to do is to interrupt that habit. Every time you notice yourself going to a space where you're being hyper focused on the negative, you don't have to completely switch, go to the polar opposite of actually I'm the best person ever, I'm the queen of England. You don't need to do that, but just ask yourself, okay, let me pause. I don't want to create this life. I don't want to be thinking these thoughts. What is a thought that gives me a little bit of a better feeling? What's one step up? What can give me, if it's not happiness, what can at least give me neutrality? What's a thought that I can think that can at least bring me peace? Baby steps. I think simple is very sexy. The smallest step that you can take is the best step that you can take because it's going to be doable for you.
Yeah.
And it's really just bringing yourself out of your unconscious mode, which we are in 95% of the day. It's just bringing your conscious mind more so into the conversation. You're becoming an active participant in your life again. Like, hello, you're using your free will again. Welcome back. How are you? That's what it is.
She said, you're alive.
You're alive.
She's like, you're broken out of it.
Yeah.
Because it is true. I think that's such a good thing to constantly remember because life is fucking hard. Like literally, and like I said this, and this will be aired in a few months. So hopefully a lot's changed by then, okay?
And so it is.
It is. A lot will be changed by the time this airs.
Amen.
But yesterday I posted a TikTok, which kind of wraps up into all of this, where I was talking about how, life is hard. It's scary. We're in a depression, recession, whatever they want to call it. Like, it's really scary out here. And I'm not a Nepo baby, so like that super sucks. So I did this whole TikTok about how, I'm taking a lot of chances on myself and I'm unemployed and I'm scared. And I had a meeting at right across from Madison Square Garden in like this beautiful big ass building. I saw the biggest screen I've ever seen in my life. But I left that meeting and the person that I was meeting with, they asked me at the end of it, why do you end all of your seasons on 33 episodes? And I explained to them, I'm a very spiritual person and it ties into like, my woo-woo faith, but also like my Christianity because, Jesus died at 33, yada, yada, whatever. It's a whole lot of things, okay? And 3, the Father, Son, Holy Spirit, all of that. So I'm explaining this to this guy, and that's the very last thing he asked me. And less than 10 minutes later, I'm getting in a cab, and then my card declines because I forgot to transfer money from my savings. And I look at my account, and I have $3.33 left. And then I'm like, that's a sign, and I'll take it, and I love it. And then today, CiiCIi texts me, and she's like, ETA is 333. And I'm like, holy shit. And then right before we started filming, you were saying how 3 is the number of purpose.
Yeah.
It's what was it again?
So 1 is all about new beginnings and yourself. Think about I am. So an I looks like a 1.
Yeah.
2 is then you're bringing in the other person. So it's about polarities, duality, your relationship with others. And then 3, now we're getting to, like you said, the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit. But really what it is our physical body, our spiritual body coming together and birthing our purpose. That's how I see it at least. And so you're seeing 333. That's all tied into your purpose. And I don't like you saying that you're unemployed. I'm going to ask you to stop. You're not unemployed. What are we doing right now?
I'm not unemployed, but I'm not getting somebody else's money. Like, I'm having to make money.
OPM,
like
other people's money.
Yeah, OPM.
OPM.
Oppum. I like Oppum because I was working at home doing all of my work in like 10 minutes and then fucking around for the rest of the week and getting paid for it. You know what I'm saying? Like,
but if you want something, you can get it.
I know,
you're capable.
But I also don't want to work. So
see,
it's
that's what it is. But you're not unemployed because you're literally on.
I just don't have a steady stream of income coming in. And like, I don't like that. Like, that's what I don't like. Like, I don't like employment. I was going to say I don't mind employment. That's a big fat lie. I don't like employment. I don't like being on somebody else's time. I don't like being told what to do.
Yeah.
Like, I don't like these things. But I also recognize that moment of waiting is a scary time because I have to constantly remind myself that there's nothing wrong with walking in faith and that like you just did, constantly having to what's that word? rephrase,
Mold.
realign my thoughts.
Yeah.
And instead of saying things like, I don't know where we'll be, and being like, life has changed so much by the time this airs.
Oh, yeah.
And like, so it's that constant, like, it's weird because like there's not work right now because I'm not employed by somebody else. But I have to do a lot of mental gymnastics to not see the negative of this moment. But the greater part of me knows that this space exists here, this block of time exists here because you need to work on your podcast, because you need to work on everything that you want to do, and you can't necessarily do that with the distraction of work. So it's like, I stayed in this job for like so long, longer than I needed to, and like it gave me what I needed, and like, you know, I saved a nice chunk of money. And when I was so excited for it to end, because I knew I was getting laid off, because, you know, that's fun. But I was so excited for it to end. And I was like, I'm going to quit, actually. I'm going to quit before like it ends. Because like, I just want to leave them in chaos, you know? They don't appreciate me. I want them to kind of suffer a little. But I didn't do that because my mom was like, bitch, if you don't collect this last check and like wrap up your projects and live your life.
Yeah.
So I stayed there, and I thought I was going to be so excited for it to end. The first week I didn't have work, I cried every day.
Wow.
I had an anxiety attack every day because I realized I had no one else to depend on at that point but me. I had to depend on my talents. I had to depend on putting faith in my purpose and actually believing that I can do the shit that I want to do. And that's heavy and it's scary.
It's scary.
Yeah, it's terrifying.
It is, and it comes down to what voice are you going to listen to? Are you going to listen to the ego voice or your intuition? Because you got to, and it's up to you to choose.
Yeah, it's my intuition every fucking time.
Yeah.
No matter how scary it is, my intuition has never been wrong.
Yeah.
From the smallest things to the biggest things, like I listen to my intuition. If I'm really not feeling like leaving the house for another 10 minutes, I'm not going to do it.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on outside.
Yeah.
In that 10 minutes, I could get a fucking, you know, one of my uncles back in Haiti, you know how this man died? He took a nap under a coconut tree and a fucking bird chopped off a coconut and it hit him in the head and he died.
How heavy is that coconut? What kind of coconuts you guys got down there? Like
heavy ones, but it fell a long way. It fell like 30 feet. So,
holy.
Right. So, like, who knows what he was thinking before that happened? Maybe his brain was like, let's snap under the other coconut tree.
That's such a good
And he was like, that's my favorite coconut tree. I'm going to nap here. I constantly think about these things. I'm going to listen to my intuition every time. Even that job, I felt unimportant there. I felt like my talents were being wasted. And my boss also, she was constantly like, I hate that you're here. And not because like she hates me, but she's like, I wish I had something better to offer you. And then, you know, they laid off everybody and all. I was like, all right, okay, bye. I was like, nobody has anything to offer anybody. But having a lot of faith in yourself, it's scary. Yeah. It's really, really terrifying.
It's funny because I literally was thinking about this today and made a video about it. If you have trouble having faith in yourself, have faith in God because he has faith in you or else you wouldn't be here. And that's just it.
You know, I'm going to be a pessimist for a minute.
Go ahead.
And you're going to like correct me so bad. I was an accident. I was an accidental baby.
But not to God.
Not to God. No, God made sure that I came out of the fucking womb.
I don't say accident. I say surprise. I wasn't supposed to be here. The doctor told my mom to have a DNC and to kill me.
Oh
and
my
she
God.
said no. That's why, that literally. And she was conceived me at 33. I was born on 1/11.
Bitch.
I truly believe. I was like, I've been fighting to get to Earth before.
For a long time.
A long time.
You were like, yay, I made it.
Yeah. Seriously. But I was a surprise to her, but not to God. You might have been an accident to your parents. We come through our parents. We're through them. We're not of them, really.
You remember in Glee? Did you watch Glee?
I loved Glee.
You know how Quinn swore to God she got pregnant by Finn ejaculating in the hot tub?
Yes.
Even though they did not touch each other. That might as well have been my birth story. Like, no lie.
Same.
And to the point where when my mom, because she passed out, and they called EMT.
Oh my God.
When they were like, you're pregnant, she laughed in their face and was like, no. And you didn't graduate. Like, she was like, do you know what pregnancy is?
Oh.
And they were like, cross-contamination happens with sex and children.
Wait, so she was in a hot tub?
No, she wasn't exactly in a hot tub, but I'm not going to air her business.
Well, you can't tell the story and not give
she
the
was
details.
think about all the ways you can cross-contaminate anything.
I really can't think of one.
Okay, so you're making a burrito, and there's actually my friend got E. coli recently from cross-contamination for a burrito.
God.
She didn't order a pork burrito, but somehow pork got on her burrito, and now she has E. coli. Just think about that in terms of the reproductive system.
I'll think more on it because
You can think. Ask your boyfriend about it later.
Okay,
he's like, we can figure it out. No, because I'm like, I'm not about to put this lady business out here. What?
I'll try. I'll try to tap into her energy field.
Just be like, what's going on? But yeah. But speaking of energy, swaying away from the therapy of it all, I need you to explain aliens to me because I don't know if you've seen the news recently, but in Las Vegas, apparently an alien spaceship was caught on a body cam. And I swear this is not like random Reddit news. This is literally like CNN and shit like that. But like a cop's body cam caught like a spaceship falling into going across the sky. And then a couple minutes later, they get a call about something crashed in a family's backyard. And when they get there, the cop is like, I'm not going back there. He's like, I'm not going back there. And the family's like, there are creatures in the backyard. And they're like 10 feet tall. They're humans, but not humans. You know what I'm talking about?
I saw a video of that. I didn't know what that was.
Right. And then they were also talking about how, my friend brought this to my attention, how they're not calling them UAPs anymore. Because like they were saying UFOs, unidentified flying objects. And then they were like UAPs, unidentified aerial phenomena. Now it's UAP. It's UA. What's that word for water? Aqua, yeah. So it's also like incorporating aerial and water.
Oh Lord.
Did you hear?
Okay. I didn't know about the water part.
The water thing, because when that Tic Tac video, I don't know if you've seen it. Have you seen the Tic Tac video?
The Tic Tac video.
Okay, the Tic Tac video. I love education.
Yeah, me too. I don't watch the news because it's just so much negative programming. My energy is way too sensitive for that, but I watch ET information all the time.
I do. Yeah, that's like what I look for. That's what I need to know.
So what do you want to know?
I want to know like what your thoughts are, because you were saying they were your siblings.
They are my siblings. They're your siblings too. I feel that I look up at the night sky and I start crying because I feel like my siblings are out there and I want to reunite with them. Like that's how close I feel to them. Now, I've never seen an ET or anything like that. I've never seen a craft. But the thing is, like the ET community, if you can call it that, whatever, they've known that this was going to come out this year, where there was going to be a lot of, even Kim Kardashian did a campaign with ET heads on.
Yeah.
There's a lot of that is coming into conscious awareness now. They're putting it into movies. They're putting it on the news. It's been around forever.
It's like they're microdosing your preparation for it.
They are microdosing your preparation. And Dr. Stephen Greer is really a mastermind at all of this. So I heavily tell everyone to listen to him. But the problem that he always points out is that a lot of the programming they want you to believe is that the ETs or these other dimensional beings are coming down to start a war or going to try to hurt us or harm us or whatever. And Dr. Stephen Greer, his whole thing is that that is not the case, and that the government has actually created something called stagecraft, where they have created craft that looks like ET craft. They have remade it and they've used it to scare people or indoctrinate people. And for me, when I see something on the news, especially from a cop cam, I'm like, how real is that? Like, is it the government? Is it not? I don't know. And that's what I just always look for. Who is it coming from and what does it look like? Because apparently the government, underground, whatever you want to call it, has mastered the craft and can really make it look the same.
So the cop cam, not like that one was, you couldn't really see the aliens.
Yeah.
You didn't see anything. It was more so you were kind of going off of the fact that the guy was so scared and like everybody around was so afraid.
Yeah.
But the Tic Tac is they showed that through like military infrared.
Yeah.
So it was basically this little craft like off the coast of North Carolina just going fast as fuck. And like it was going from like 80,000 feet down to 50 feet in like a matter of seconds.
Yeah.
And the G-forces like were so high, and that's the military was like, we don't really know what this is because there's no exhaust and the G-force is way too much for a human to handle. And then I think the reason why they openly admitted that they are also adding in the water part of it, the oceans, is because they disappeared into the water. So it didn't like go up into the sky. It would like go up and then down and then like kind of like fly around ships, not aggressively, but just kind of like looking.
Yeah.
And then it disappeared into the water. But when you bring up the thing about the way they've kind of programmed people to be afraid of it, I think of the movie Contact.
Mm-hmm.
Have you seen it?
I'm not sure. I always think of Arrival when
No.
Arrival
Right.
is so good though.
Arrival was really good, but Contact, Jodie Foster's in it.
I don't think I saw
It's a 90s movie. Matthew McConaughey's in it.
Oh no, I didn't see it.
Okay. Yeah, you'd remember that.
Yeah. I remember that.
You'd remember that.
Definitely did not.
But Contact reminds me of Interstellar, which have you
Oh, of course I've seen it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Interstellar, you know how like in Interstellar, the whole point of like the aliens communicating is to create a better future. And like it kind of gives like that, you know, when he's like in that, I don't know what dimension it is, like maybe the sixth or whatever, but all you see is like all these lines and he's communicating with his daughter in Morse code. And like it's weird because like it's an embodiment of love in that image.
Right.
Contact follows like the same belief that they didn't believe this woman when the aliens contacted her because they showed her an image of love and like forgiveness and they were telling her that like this is how we've always done things. We don't know who the first to reach out was, but all we've known is that every while we reach out and we spread love and like we show you that you're not alone. And like they were like their whole mission is to remove the feeling of loneliness in the universe. And weirdly enough, like movies like Interstellar and Contact, they're based off of is that man's name? I'm gonna Google it literally. I am because
Is it the director?
it's not the director. He's a scientist. He's an astrophysicist.
Interesting. I do agree though. I think there's many races.
Carl Sagan.
I don't even know him.
Carl Sagan is, what is he? He's an American scientist.
Okay.
He studied like the physics of alien life form and like space travel and all of that. And a lot of Interstellar is visually as a movie one of the most scientifically and mathematically accurate films that you can watch about an alien.
Wow.
Or
beautiful too.
Right. Gorgeous. Gorgina.
Gordina.
And both of our husbands are in it. Timothy Chalamet, like all of them are in there. Like it is about love, you know.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. I definitely think that there's so many other worldly beings that we just have no idea about. And I think the bulk of them are all about love. And also when we started creating atomic and nuclear weapons,
no one wanted to fuck with us after that.
well, the problem is if that is to actually happen here, it affects other realms too. It affects other dimensions. It doesn't just affect Earth. So what I understand is that they don't want that to happen because if it happens here, it's a ripple effect and it affects them too in a negative way. They're trying to live in peace and love. And if you think about it, they are most likely very, 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 very far advanced in technology and all these things. That's why they can visit us a bunch of times and we have not yet been to visit them that we know of at least. But I mean, the government has known about this since what, the 50s, 60s, probably before
I actually
then?
think it's been before that.
Yeah,
because
probably
like
was.
people tend to think that like Americans have this weird obsession with UFOs and stuff and that it's like an American phenomena. But there are some like there's so many like cultures
Yeah.
that they have like written records of like believing in extraterrestrial life. Like it's not necessarily a uniquely American thing, but I think like, you know, America's kind of like the the trailer park of the world.
We do it how we do it.
We do what we do. This is how we do it.
Well, what do you think of the ETs actually just being future versions of us? 'Cause that's another theory.
Bitch, you know what? Let me stretch real quick because I think about that one a lot and I don't really like it. I don't like it. There's a movie called Other Earth that came out in the early 2000s and it was like a super underground, like premiered at like film festivals. Like it wasn't like a whole thing, but basically one day behind the moon, a mirror version of Earth comes up. And so they start communicating with it like through radio and stuff. And it comes to find out that there is an exact version of everybody else that lives on Earth, on that other Earth. The reality is just slightly different. Which, you know, us woo-woo girls, we know. We read the books.
Yeah.
We do the math. We know the science that's perfectly real. And quantum physics is a thing, as crazy as it sounds. I don't really like the idea of like my great-great-grandchildren coming back to see me. It stresses me out a little bit because I'm like, do you know something about me I don't?
Well, they could, but then again, if you make a different decision, you could align with a different timeline and then they wouldn't.
See, that's what I don't like. That's what I don't like.
It's
too much about chance. It's too much like splintering.
But that's free will. Would you rather be predestined and you have no free will?
But I feel like you're actually predestined no matter what you do.
What?
Because I think there is a greater thing that knows the outcome of everything. And no matter how different you think what you're choosing is, you're actually following a plan that you're not even aware of.
I think there's an outline. I wouldn't say a plan, but a delicate outline.
Delicate as fuck.
So we dance with the destiny. So it might have certain points that you will reach no matter what, but I think how you reach it, how you get there, whether you choose path A, B, or C is up to you.
It's like the universe is like you can choose the hard way.
Yeah.
Or
choose your avatar. What is it going to be?
It's
You'll
like,
hit these
or
points.
this can be the easy way.
Yeah.
But that's interesting. I love that. I was like, this is the only person I can talk about aliens with on this show.
Well, I'll say one other thing. You know, they say the moon is not an actual moon. It's a convention center. It's a meeting center where multidimensional beings.
Who said that?
Over. It's a known thing. The
but
people who
among who? Among who?
People who do. I'm blanking out on the name right now. They can teleport themselves. Those people, and they're working in the government. They work with the government. They work against the government too.
Who is teleporting?
People who are trained at it, and some people can just do it. I've never done it before, but I'm blanking out on the name.
You've never teleported before, CiiCIi?
No, wait, there's a name for this. I'm just blanking out on what it is.
Quantum leaping?
No.
Is that what you're talking
about? No, that's something different. It's when
the girls are teleporting.
Teleport.
You know how late I am to everything? I want to fucking teleport.
It's teleporting your consciousness, but not your body. What is that called?
Oh, that's fucking lame. That's quantum leaping.
No, not that.
Astral projection.
Yes. So the people who astral project have been able to astral.
They're meeting on the moon.
And they went to inside the moon and they said it's a meeting place for all these different dimensional beings, like a convention center, but for the moon. And those who have also went into like, I don't know, not Navy, but the government bases, they astral projected into there and they literally were chased out. It was, it's a thing.
Crazy as this, she's like, it's a thing.
It's a thing.
I promise.
No, it feels
as crazy
real.
as this sounds, I also know. Because I Googled it after I watched a documentary and I was like, there's no fucking way. And I went and I Googled.
Yeah.
Some of these disclosed CIA files are fucking weird.
Yeah.
The one about, did you see the one about, it was about manifestation and
the gateway?
And injury. I'm not the gateway.
It was called like the gateway process. They released it in like 20.
I'm not farting, by the way. I'm just like moving on this couch.
This couch wants to be a part of the podcast.
Yeah, she's like, can you hear me? She's like, where's my mic, bitch? I have thoughts.
The manifestation one, it's called the gateway process, I believe, if we're talking about the same thing.
I think so, maybe.
And what about it? But it was saying how manifestation was real.
Yeah, it was saying how it was real. It was saying how
Yeah.
you have the power to have everything you ever want. Like,
the people in power know this. The whole secret and trick of it is that they don't want other people. They don't want the mass knowing it.
Yeah.
Because then they no longer have that same power. And it's not that everyone's evil, but there's good and bad people. There's good and bad entities that are influencing people as well.
And like, okay, even if we remove, I'm sorry. I hit something. Sorry. I'm like, this couch is so uncomfortable. We need to talk about this for next time y'all decorate.
We need like a leg massage.
Like, yeah. Are your legs going dead?
No, they're good.
Mine are. My legs are dead every time I sit here. I'm sorry.
Crampy in here, but
I'm cramping really bad. My ass cheek is like twitching. Like, fuck. Like, this is not my usual setup.
Stretching. Oh my God. The bottom of my foot was just on camera. I want to die. I want to die. No.
What were we saying? Okay, what were we saying? I'm
that
just
is
saying.
So feral of me. I was sweating.
That's so feral. Slay. So it's the slayest raccoon you've ever seen. Oh my God.
The gateway process, manifestation.
Right. Okay. So even if you remove like the sciencey woo-woo behind it, think about it. Like, if everybody, the Rockefellers would not like if everyone had rights. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yes.
Like, just remove it, because I think a lot of the times the way you and I speak, we're like the quantum, the this, the that. Like, we're using all of these words that are very
Astral.
like that are very like people like side eye, bombastic side eye. But it's like when you remove all of that, it really is simply that if there's something that can help your life, the people who want you to be in a begging position for $7.25 will not want you to have it. Like, it's as simple as that.
It's been since, go back to Victorian times. Royal families would marry into royal families. They try to keep the bloodline clean. It's still the same shit. They don't want people knowing and having that same
authority.
Yeah, authority.
The same privilege, the same any of it.
Yeah.
Like, I have one of my aunts who like loves the royal family. I have to constantly remind her, they're cousins. They're cousins. They're dead and they're cousins.
Yeah.
And there's a stolen little black prince in their coffin. Like, did you know that?
No, what?
Yes. The royal family in like 1914, they imported, #stole, for peace, not really, an African prince who was like 14 years old. He died very young of sickness. They buried him in the royal tomb. Africa wants him back. And I know Africa is a continent, but his country wants him. I don't know.
Like, what?
His country wants him back and they don't want to give him back. So Queen Elizabeth is down there, and so is her cousin, Prince Philip. Down there with that.
A lot about that. I've never gotten into them because what I've heard,
nasty. They're cousins.
I side eye that.
Side eye.
I'm just like, okay.
So CiiCIi, tell the people where they can find you.
You can find me on Instagram or on TikTok at Vibin with CiiCIi. It's VIBIN with CiiCIi. You can find my podcast, That Bitch Is Positive. Honestly, if you go to my Instagram, I have everything, all the links in my bio or the show notes or, whatever. I'm out there. You'll just find me floating in the universe somewhere. If you think about me for long enough.
She'll appear.
Yeah, I'll pop up on your For You page or your popular page eventually, and you'll see me.
Honestly, maybe. Yeah.
I've had so many people tell me that they were thinking about me, trying
And
to
then
find
you
my
popped
page
up?
again, and then I pop up again. I'm like, I'll find you.
She said, I found your energy.
Yeah.
Hi.
Yeah.
But as always, you can follow POV, You're My Therapist, and me at VinePhilo, VinePhilo, on TikTok, on Instagram. And the best way to support an independent podcast, we've said this before, is to share it with your friends and your family and the boy who needs to hear this. Okay? So do that and help a girl out. Thank you so much. Love you. Bye.
Bye.